Hello, and thank you for exploring Lakehead International's videos. My name is Jordan, and I am the International New and Social Media Officer. I'm also the host of the Lakehead International Live series, a fun and informative way for you to connect with current international students, professors, and ask questions about admissions and everything Lakehead. You are about to watch a recording from one of our previous live sessions. If any questions arise throughout the video, please do not hesitate to comment below. If you would like to check out some of our upcoming live sessions, please head over to our website at lakeheadu.ca/international-live. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another Lakehead International Live. My name is Jordan. I'll be your host today. I'm joined by many co-hosts and special guests directly from our residence and conference services team. So I'm really excited to have them here. To kick things off, of course, as a part of the Lakehead International Live series, we do have two series running right now, the Academics Explored and today's Lakehead Explored, where we're going to dive into everything Lakehead, but live so we can answer your questions. For those of you who haven't joined us before, my name is Jordan Ball. I am the International New and Social Media Officer. I help run our live events, our digital experiences, social media, as well as our global ambassador group. I'm very excited to be here today and hopefully answer as many questions as I can. Pass it over to Hector to kick things off and introduce himself too.
Thank you, Jordan. Yes, everyone. My name is Hector Michelena, and I'm one of the international recruitment officers here at Lakehead University. My main role is to help prospective students like you find the right program here at Lakehead University and guide you through the applications and admissions process. And then I'll pass it on to Jessica or Michelle. Michelle, I guess, is the next one.
Thank you. My name is Michelle Denton. I'm one of the residence area coordinators at the Thunder Bay campus, and I directly oversee residence halls. So I support those first year students coming to Lakehead for the first time and university for the first time and living in that dormitory style housing.
Awesome, and we'll pass it over to Lynn and Orillia.
Hi, everybody. Nice to have everybody join us this morning. I'm Lynn Fortney, and I'm the Residence and Conference Services Manager in Orillia. So for anybody who's interested in joining us in Orillia, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions as we go through the presentation this morning. Thanks.
Awesome, and last but not least, we'll pass it over to Jessica.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Young. I'm one of the residence area coordinators here on the Thunder Bay campus, and I oversee apartments and townhouses. So if you're looking for that little step of independence after res halls, or you're in, your second year, or you're a mature student, I would be your person for support.
Awesome. Well, thank you again to everyone for joining us today. This is one of a few sessions we'll have this spring to chat about residence and dining. I know it's a really popular topic among our students who are going to be joining us this fall. They would like to know, where are they going to be living? What can they picture to eat? How are they going to meet friends? All that sort of stuff. It's all about the journey. So we'll dive into that. But before we do, I'll chat about our upcoming events and our agenda today. So we're going to first go into our upcoming events, and then we'll actually chat about benefits of residence. And this is where we dive into the presentation. So we'll chat about those benefits of living on residence, the convenience of the location, all that sort of stuff. I am certainly passionate about residence, and so I like to chit chat about it. But I think now that we have our experts on session with us, I'll leave it to them most likely. Then we'll chat about our on-campus options, of course, both in Thunder Bay and Orillia. We'll go into meal plans a bit, and then we'll chat about residence life and how you can stay active and get involved within that community itself. So speaking about upcoming events, we do have a few series, like I mentioned. So the first one is our Academics Explored series. So the next few months, we're going to be diving into in-depth program sessions. So our first one actually is with business. So if anyone was able to attend our sessions with the business faculty this fall, business administration, you may have learned a bit about the faculty, but this session is actually even further in depth. We have a few more chairs, we have a few more faculty members joining us this time around, and we're going to dive into that first year experience. We'll chat about courses that you can anticipate in taking, things to get involved in, unique learning opportunities, all that sort of stuff. And that's on Wednesday, March 10th. So that is this week, just in a couple days here. And then of course, upcoming after that is our in-depth with computer science. Looks like I've put it here twice, computer science. That's not the case. It's actually in-depth with engineering, which is Wednesday, March 17th, and then in-depth with computer science is Wednesday, March 24th. You can register now on our website, lakeheadu.ca/international-live for any one of these events right away. Coming up in our Lakehead Explored series, we have a few sessions, one next week, and then of course every Monday we do a Lakehead Explored, unless if there's a holiday, we'll move it to a Tuesday. Our next week's session though is applying for a student visa. So we know this is an exciting time. People are beginning to receive their unconditional offer letters, or at least their conditional offer letters to Lakehead University. We anticipate that more offer letters are going to be sent out in the coming weeks too. And so we want to encourage students, this is absolutely the year to apply early for your visa, get the process started. We'll walk you through what that looks like. We'll have our in-house immigration advisor, Jennifer Hay, join us, and she'll chat all things visas. So that's on Monday, March 15th at 9 a.m. And then the following week, we'll be doing a next steps in the admissions process. So we'll actually walk you through, now that you've received your offer, how can you help secure maybe your residence, for example, how you can start that application and what that journey looks like. Also coming up, but not in the next couple of weeks, are our careers at co-op and employment sessions, getting involved in student life, as well as student supports. And those are just a few to name. We have a full schedule planned out until the end of May, and I'm sure we'll go into June, July, and August with our International Student Services team. Again, those sessions are available for registration now on our website, lakeheadu.ca/international-live. So things to remember, some of my housekeeping notes. If you like what you see, don't worry, we are recording today's session and we'll be uploading it to YouTube after the fact. So if you're also joining us and watching this after the fact on YouTube, thank you, welcome. If you do have questions throughout the session and you're watching live, you can use Zoom's Q&A function to submit those and we'll be happy to answer them throughout the session. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube or anywhere, you can certainly comment on the video and we'll get that notification and get right back to you. And last but not least, I absolutely encourage you to stay connected with us. Follow us on our social media channels. You can find us at Lakehead International, and it will post regular updates about upcoming webinars, upcoming events or opportunities. It also provides you with a quick sneak peek into Lakehead University life. So with that being said, we'll chat about living on campus and the benefits of living on campus. So we've laid them out essentially in four main points. As I mentioned, I'm really passionate about students for living on campus and guiding that first experience. Many of you are making some really big journeys to Canada, whether you're coming from Asia, whether you're coming from Latin America, maybe Europe even. You're making a journey across the world essentially, and you're joining us here in Canada. We're so excited to welcome you, but we know that journey can be a stressful one, to say the least, but also we want to make sure that you have all the supports and you really utilize everything to your best ability. And so with that being said, maybe I'll pass it over to Michelle to kick things off, to chat more about some of these points. And then if Lynn and Jessica, if you want to jump in, please feel free to add if you wish.
Thank you, Jordan. I think you made a really important point there, is that there's so much with transitioning to a new school or even a new country that residence is really that support system to help you learn about Lakehead more in depth and get involved and answer those questions that you might have. And the convenience of it is amazing. Our campuses are smaller campuses. So you are living right where you are also studying, and you're living right where you're eating. So you're not required to have a car or take a bus to go to the cafeteria or go to some of your class buildings. And that's really a big perk, especially coming so far away, is that everything is within walking distance. On campus, you will make some of your friends that might be friends for life, and you're going to build those connections right from day one. We're going to talk a little bit about residence life and what that is, but residence life right as you move in is making you have those connections with new students, international as well as domestic students, to create those networks and those friendships with students who are not just in your program. So you're going to make friends in a wide variety of programs, as well as from a variety of places and locations.
And I think that's a good point, Jessica. To add on to that, I understand that many students, of course, when they join university, their main focus is academics. And I agree that it definitely should be. It's something you've come all the way to Canada for, but at the same time, your university life and your experience ties so closely into that social aspect. And so if you stick to, knowing your friends within your program, all the power to you. But at the same time, when you have the opportunity to meet friends from other programs, draw on their experiences, connect with different type of people that you don't typically interact with on an everyday interaction base or level, then you really get to expand that network. And that really becomes important. Of course, in your upper years, you have a support system to fall back on, but also when you graduate, when you start looking for jobs, there's going to be some folks, graduate with you and they'll climb the ladder fast. They might be that manager that then sits down and interviews you for a potential job. So I'm a huge fan and spokesperson for networking. And so I think that residence is a solid way to begin that process in your university career. I know I hijacked that a little bit, but I'll pass it back for you to continue on.
That's okay. You transitioned very nicely into the opportunities right on campus, actually. So we have so many leadership opportunities, whether it be volunteer, whether it be just getting involved in one of our clubs or committees within residence. We're not even talking Lakehead, and Lakehead alone gives you so many opportunities. But right on residence, there will be opportunities for you to get involved with something that maybe you're passionate about, as well as leadership and job opportunities into Res Life, which we'll touch on later in the presentation. And lastly, I see on here is safe and secure, and that is definitely something we want to highlight. Our residence community has residence life staff, which we'll talk about, as well as we're connected with campus security. So there's always an available staff member 24/7 to support you. That is very reassuring coming so far away, knowing that no matter what time of the day or night it is, you have someone available. Our campus security also has a security mobile app, so they can connect with you no matter where you are on campus, and they can even walk you home if you want and give you that company if you're by yourself late at night. Maybe you're coming from studying on campus and you're going home to your residence. They can walk with you, they can chat with you on the app. So it's a really great way to feel safe and secure on campus.
For sure. Awesome. Well, thank you for covering that, Michelle. If we do have any questions, Hector, I'll ask you. I know since I'm writing the PowerPoint behind the scenes, I can't always see the Q&A right now, but please don't hesitate to jump in and let us know what students are wanting to know more about.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So first, we're going to kick things off by chatting about Thunder Bay residence. I may have prefaced this, but I'll explain a bit further. So Thunder Bay's residence options include 3 different options: residence halls, townhouses, and apartments. As you heard, Jessica and Michelle cover different areas essentially, but both have that coordinator role. So they're always working with students on a very regular basis. I can tell you that much. But Michelle will chat about residence halls, and then Jessica will chat about townhouses and apartments. They do vary in their amenities, but they also vary in which students are typically going into them. So we'll dive into that. If there are any questions specific to the Thunder Bay residence, please feel free to ask them. If there's any specific questions for Orillia, please hold off for now. We're going to get there. Please have patience with us. We'll get there, and we'll be happy to answer them then. But first, I'll pass over to Michelle to chat about the amenities within residence hall.
Perfect. So residence halls, again, is that transition straight from high school into your first year of residence. And that is our dormitory style residence. So the previous slide that you saw with the 3-tiered building is our Bartley residence, which is one of our main residences for Res Hall students. There are about 30 other students, so 30 other first years with you experiencing what that's like. And what we see on the screen right now is our room options in those buildings on the left. So on the left, we will have our single and our basic single. Residence at Lakehead provides all of the amenities for you, and essentially you're bringing your personal items to make that room your home. So we provide all of the bed and the desk. We have wireless internet throughout all of our residents, beautiful windows that oversee maybe Lake Tamlin, or you will see the trees and the forests around us, and you're ready to come and move in and start your studies with us. We have in our residence halls buildings, we have a lounge that also is accessible to all students in that house. And that communal space is really where our programming happens. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, as well as you have access to a study room and a storage room. The biggest difference in our two room styles in res halls is size. So you're still getting the same amenities. You'll still have your bed and your desk and your internet, and all of our rooms come with a mini fridge, but its room size is what you'll notice is different, and you'll see a cost difference with that as well. Party Residence, you'll see on the right, is also one of our residence halls buildings. And it has a different layout, but the same amenities are provided for you. It's important to note that we only have single rooms at Lakehead and in Thunder Bay and in Orillia, and Lynn will talk about that later, but we only have single rooms. So you will not be sharing your individual room with a roommate, and you will have key access for your room as well. So there's another level of safety and security to know that you're not sharing your personal space with anyone else.
For sure. And to add on to that, I know a popular question, so I'll get ahead of it essentially, is washrooms. Everyone wants to know about washrooms, and I absolutely understand that. So within residence halls, Michelle, can you fill us in on what the setup like is for washrooms and sharing that, whether or not are they dedicated to a co-op washroom or a single gender washroom? What does that look like?
Perfect. That's a great question. And I think I'll talk about the structure of the house itself to kind of answer this. So the house has 3 floors, which means there's bedrooms on each floor. On your first floor, you'll have your storage room. On your second floor, you have your additional lounge, and the third floor is just bedrooms. And all students in that house have access to all 3 floors. Within each floor, you have single gendered washrooms for each floor. So you'll have a washroom, a male washroom on one side and a female washroom on the other side. And it's for everyone that is in that house.
Awesome, good to know. So I do have a photo actually of the single in Bartley. So this actually shows you on the bottom left there, you have your bed, you have your dedicated desk space, office chair, your mini fridge, a very large window I'll add, because I know that that's really important. I think we are very fortunate in all of our residences to have large windows so you get that natural light. You can crack it open if you need a little fresh air in there. And then of course the blinds too. And you need the shut eye. Maybe you want to take a nap in the middle of the day. I know we've all been there. That's absolutely fine. And you can certainly do that here. Behind the camera person in this photo are your 2 closets actually in the Bartley single. As well as your full-length mirrors built into the closets, your door to the outside, which of course Michelle mentioned, in all of your options is key access, so you can lock it for your privacy and your safety and security as well.
Yeah, and it's important to note that everything you see in this photo is still provided in your single room. It's just a more cozy option. So this is your more spacious option. You do have a larger desk, but the same amenities you see in this photo will be provided in your basic single as well.
For sure. And then many students want to know what should they pack, what should they bring. We won't necessarily dive into that in today's session. We'll leave that to our international student services team. They've been doing this for many years now. They have the best advice, what to buy in Thunder Bay or what to buy in Orillia when you first arrive versus what you absolutely should bring. But many of the extras here, so you'll see some food on the shelves, the comforter itself, the magnets on the fridge, even those are things that they're props in this case, but students typically bring that. But like Michelle said, like the main stuff, the fridge, the chair, the bed itself, the desk itself, that's not something you're expected to bring. We know you can't pack a mattress on your travels to Canada, so no worries. It will be here safe and sound when you arrive.
I do see a great question that I want to touch on, Jordan, quickly.
Sure,
is we have a question about, does it come with a coffee machine? And I think that this is important to highlight for the lounges in res halls. We provide in the lounges a kitchenette area that has a microwave for you. You're able to use a coffee machine in your room as long as there's an automatic shut off, but we don't provide any appliances for our residence halls other than that microwave and toaster oven in your lounges.
Awesome. And I do see another question about the basic single. Is the cost paid for the first year or the first semester? So I will pass it over to your team there.
Yeah, our costs for all of our residences are actually into 2 installments. So you'll notice that there's an installment for cost in August, a second installment in December, and that pays for the duration of the full year. And it's not a 50-50 split. So you're not paying for one semester and then another semester. When you're signing for the contract, you're signing for the whole academic year for the fall semester.
Awesome. So next, it's fitting that we're going to move into apartments and townhouses, because this is also typically where our graduate students go who are not in your 8-month academic year. You're in a 12-month academic year for 3 semesters. And so that contract is a bit different. That's my little segue, but I'll pass it over to Jess to touch on everything apartments and townhouses.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. So I'll talk about one thing really quick before jumping into layouts, but Jordan talked about a 12-month contract with your education. One of the great things with the structure that we have on the Thunder Bay campus is that you could live here all year round. So if you chose to come here, May 1st, you could start living in a townhouse right away with us. So that is something that you can live on campus all year round, and that's what our townhouses are for. So we'll start with apartments up in that left-hand corner there. You see our layout. It's a little bit bigger than those Bartley rooms, but that's because you're pretty much getting a whole house to yourself. With our apartments, you have a full kitchen, you have a huge freezer, you have a living area, and then you have the opportunity to actually have a set of roommates with yourselves. In a typical year, we can have up to 4 people in a space, and that would be shared amongst yourselves and your roommates. For security, you do have a full key lock on your own bedroom too, so you don't have to worry like if you don't know your roommates. You can have your space locked and keep your stuff safe as well. One of the great things about the apartments is that you actually have 2 bathrooms. So if you're somebody that really likes to have, the opportunity to go and wash your face or like do your stuff at any point in the day, that's not going to be a concern in our apartments because you have 2 spaces. In your bedroom, there isn't a physical photo here today, but very similar to the Bartley bedroom, you're going to have a single bed, a very spacious desk, a nice closet, and some great window to keep your light and room just fresh during the whole year. Moving over to our townhouses there, you'll see that there's an upper and a lower level. So this is definitely a little bit different in structure, but you legitimately have your own space that's very much like a house. On your main floor, you do have a full kitchen, a dining room, a living room, and then you have this nice sliding door that actually goes out onto your own personal patio. So if you're somebody that really likes to cook up some chicken on the barbecue or grill some broccoli, you could do that if you had your own barbecue that you brought to campus. On the second floor of the townhouses, you have your bedrooms. So this is where you and your roommates again would share that space. You have a full bathroom with a tub, a shower, a toilet, sink, and then your space that you would also have individually locked for your safety and security.
Awesome. Thanks for covering both of those. Something to note here, and I know that this is a popular question, is how do students typically get matched with their roommates? So can they pick their roommates if they have maybe a group of friends that they're even coming with from home, or they've maybe established friendships through some online meetings? I know there's always WhatsApp group chats or Facebook groups where students are connecting months before they join us at Lakehead, and we absolutely encourage that too, because we know that coming into this experience with a familiar face or that one friend to lean on who's going to be doing the exact same journey can be helpful. So what does that process look like for securing roommates, or at least being assigned roommates?
Yeah, great question. So when you do your residence application, you essentially fill out a questionnaire that says what you like to live. So whether you're somebody that is an early morning riser, or you like a very social environment, or if you need alcohol-free. Those are all things that you can specify so that we match you up with people that have similar values or similar living styles. If you don't know who you are going to be living with, we do have roommate agreements that you do on your first week in your apartment or townhouse. Your resident assistant, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, goes through those as an opportunity for you to make sure that you and your roommates are living with similar interests and a respectful environment. But as Jordan said, you might know people already. You can actually put their names down on your application to make sure that you're living with your friends. There are some details with that and timings of things, but you want to make sure that both of you put down the same names to ensure that you get placed together.
Awesome, thanks for covering that. And I do have some photos actually from within the apartments, so and the townhouses, pardon me. So the first one is the apartment. So this is a view essentially from over where the bedrooms would be located into your common space, your living room, and then of course your shared kitchen and dinette there. So this is where of course students are prepping their full meals. I know that I've heard in many situations residents and apartments and townhouses, pardon me, all of the roommates typically will do their own meals for a vast majority of the time, but then they'll do potlucks or they might share a meal with one of their roommates. And I think that that's really exciting because it also provides students the opportunity to experiment and try new foods. So if you have a roommate from a country that's maybe even a couple countries over from you, they could have a totally different cuisine that you get to try and they get to bring the flavors to you. I know that that's always been an exciting thing. Even the Thunder Bay and Orillia food scene and the restaurant scene has allowed for our students to also explore. I shouldn't go down that rabbit hole because I'll probably talk too long about restaurants, but we will chat about restaurants and residents and meal plans in just a moment. So this is also a photo of the townhouses. So this is on that main floor, like Jessica was talking about, where you have your shared living room. Of course, some of the extras that you see here, actually, because this photo is from a group of students that were living in residence one of the summers, one of these past summers. Off to the right is the kitchen and the shared dining room, and then you can start to see the staircase that leads up to the 4 bedrooms as well as that shared washroom. I also liked your mention, Jessica, that with the patio right outside, if students have a passion for maybe grilling up their favorite food or barbecuing something, they can certainly do that if they bring their own barbecue to campus. Clarify, correct me if I'm wrong, is there any shared barbecue opportunities or is there any location where students, if they don't have a kitchen, maybe in residence hall, can they cook? Can they book something out and do that?
Absolutely. So we have these nice charcoal barbecues essentially set in a few different locations. I think we have about 4 or 5 that students can get the key for from our Bartley front desk, or they could get their RA or HP to run a program where you do a barbecue and just have a social day with all your friends.
Awesome. Well, thank you for clarifying that. Next, we're going to chat about Orillia, but I did want to toss this photo in here. I think that this is a really great photo of our residence. The residence building on the left here is Bartley. As Michelle mentioned, it has those 3 floors. And so these students, of course, got an amazing view this evening. And they were able to see the sunset. It always sunsets behind residents, no matter what time of year. I think probably one of my favorite times is fall, just because the time that it starts to set is a manageable time. You're not staying up too late. We're very fortunate here in Thunder Bay, though, to have plenty of hours of daylight. So being the location that we're at, we have a very large number of daylight hours compared to other locations too. So next we're going to chat about Orillia residence. You can actually see the residence building in this photo. It's located right on the heart of our Orillia campus, and I'll pass it over to Lynn to chat about the Orillia campus, and then we'll dive into the accommodations itself.
Thank you, Jordan. So Orillia, just to put things into perspective, and I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Canadian geography, but my colleagues in Thunder Bay right now, if I were to get in my car and drive up to see Michelle, Jessica, Hector, and Jordan, it would take me 13 hours to get there. So the best way to get from campus to campus is actually by plane. So we connect a lot virtually, of course. But our campuses are very far apart. So there's some differences between the 2 campuses. Orillia is located approximately 1 hour, just over an hour north of Toronto. And we are also in an agricultural environment. So there's a lot of cornfields, a lot of agriculture in our area. And the Orillia campus residence is a 7-story building. It's exactly what you see here. And we have bedrooms on 6 of the floors. All of the rooms, with a couple of exceptions, are all the same. We have what we call single rooms, private rooms, but you do connect, the bathroom will connect to 2 bedrooms. So you, as a student, will have your own private bedroom. You have a double bed, desk, a closet. You also have your own sink. So if you want to wash your hands, brush your teeth, you have that space. And then of course you have the bathroom with the sink, toilet, and shower that another student also can access. So you would really have what we call a can-mate or a roommate if you want, but they're not in your room. You have your own private bedroom. You also have big, beautiful windows. There's an elevator to, if you're up on the 7th floor, you don't have to climb up 7 floors. We do have elevator. And just like in Thunder Bay, we also have residence assistants, of course, and we have security on site 24 hours a day. So that describes your bedroom. What's kind of exciting about next year is it's actually due a little bit to the pandemic, but we will offer students the option of having their own private bathroom. So if any of you out there absolutely want your privacy and not to share with somebody, we could probably accommodate. And I say probably because it depends on how many people apply. But there is an option to choose your own private bathroom for a small extra cost. So I just wanted to let everybody know that that option is available.
Awesome, good to know. And I know that I actually had the pleasure of staying in residence when I visited Orillia campus back in January 2020, just last year, and the beds are super comfortable and it's so updated and new. Even the lounge spaces. Myself, my coworkers, and my boss actually, we took over the lounge on our floor and we hooked up my laptop and played a bit of The Office on Netflix with the TV. But it was a great space to gather. After long days of work, of course, we still had our private spaces to head back to our room, finish up some of the day's work that we maybe missed out on or couldn't do because of, we were there doing exciting, busy things. But and then to be able to gather together as a team, but also just as friends and watch The Office and unwind, I can certainly picture, and I know for a fact that students utilize those lounge and study spaces quite frequently to catch up with each other and congregate. And I know we'll chat about residence life in just a moment here, but first we'll chat about this photo. So in this photo, you can see the double bed here. You can see the mini fridge. Plenty of storage. I can't stress that enough. The closet is enough to fit probably 2 of my wardrobes, never mind all of the drawers that are under the bed, as well as by your desk and all of the cubbies as well. What's not photographed here is the in-suite sink. So I know many students might not recognize the importance of that, but of course having the convenience to maybe wash your face, brush your teeth, wash your hands in your suite without actually entering the bathroom, especially if you do have, as they like to call it, a can mate who might be using the washroom at that time. And then also behind the camera person is a very large window. Again, you can open it if you need the fresh air. You can also close the blinds. So if you want it to be total darkness and you want to have that midday nap, I don't blame you. So chatting about meal plans, we're going to dive into Thunder Bay and Orillia. We'll chat about them separately because there are different options and where you can purchase meals on campus. So first we'll kick it off with Thunder Bay. I don't know how Jessica and Michelle want to talk about it because I know it is different technically between the 2 options. So I'll let you 2 navigate that.
Perfect. Thanks, Jordan. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the residence halls meal plan option, and then I'm going to pass it over to Jessica to talk about apartments and townhouses and meal plan and what that looks like. So you'll notice when you're applying for a residence, and specifically for residence halls, there's already a meal plan cost in your cost of living, because all students living in residence halls are put onto a mandatory meal plan because you don't have a cooking facility in your specific residence location. So it is a mandatory meal plan of an all you care to eat. That means you can go into our residence cafeteria as many or as little times every single day to get as much or as little food as you wish. as well as you're then enrolled with a declining balance on your student card. So your student card, when you come to university, turns into all access to the cafeteria. So your declining balance, what that means is it is essentially money on your student card that you can utilize to purchase items that are not included in that all you care to eat package. Some of that includes some of our local food that's provided. So you can buy frozen eat local pizzas that you can make later in your toaster oven in your lounge, or you can purchase items like there's kombucha and there's chips and pop and all of those extras that aren't considered part of that buffet style all you care to eat. One thing I like to highlight about our meal plan for Thunder Bay is the diversity in food options. So our chef likes to include food from all over the world into the rotation. And if you're looking for a food that's not in the rotation, they'll actually work with you. And if you suggest a type of dish, or you even provide a menu or a recipe for it, they'll try and look at how can they incorporate that into the meal plan as well. So you're getting Canadian food, as well as maybe some of those foods from home with maybe our little twist on it from our chef. And there is an ample amount of food. You will not go hungry on this meal plan because you can go as many times as you wish throughout the day.
Awesome. And Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, included in that meal plan also, does it still have the declining balance that can be used at select locations across campus?
Yes, and yes, that declining balance, I mentioned a couple things you can purchase off of it. Right now, our food provider has online options to purchase through our cater track system, and they also have a meal grocery delivery system that I'll let Jess talk about a little bit. But in a typical year, we have all of our options available for that declining balance throughout campus. So we have any Airmark service kiosks. So there is one in our ATAC building. So that's a building where classes take place. There's our main cafeteria in a typical year that has other options, as well as a late night eatery. And I use the word in a typical year because at the moment we are limited to what we're available to provide due to the pandemic. However, we have adapted and changed where you can use those declining balances, and that's those online options that I'll let Jess talk about, because apartment and townhouses typically utilize those the most anyways.
Awesome, thanks. And so we'll pass over to Jess and she'll dive into that full range and that full spectrum for apartments and townhouses.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle, for all of that detail as well. So just as a blanket statement, then I'll jump into those online options. With apartments and townhouses having that full kitchen, you're not required to be on a meal plan. One of the things, though, that our food services provider has done is they've actually created different plans, though, so that if you would like to not have to cook necessarily every day, you could have a meal plan that only has, maybe enough meals for 3 days a week or 5 days a week. You have some options where you can choose a meal plan that's going to fit with your cooking needs or your cooking desires. We also have a lot of online options available. So one thing that we started this year, and it's perfect timing with everything going on, is you can actually order groceries online. So if you had declining balance, or if you want to just purchase it with cash, you can actually do that through our Airmark service provider on the Thunder Bay campus. They did these cool things called meat boxes that gave students a variety of meats that they could choose to cook with. And it's all planned out so that it actually would be very similar to what you'd find in a grocery store, but right on campus. So it's very convenient, very easy for pickup and deliveries.
And on that note, of course, with students, when they're in their studies, when you get so focused and you really are in your crunch time, I think having that option, I know actually one of our previous student workers lived on residence for 5 out of 6 years at Lakehead. All 5 years though that she was on residence, she did keep that meal plan, including when she lived in both apartments and townhouses. And she simply explained there's some days where she would be happy to cook and she would be excited to cook, and then other days where having that meal plan, having something to fall back on was extremely convenient. And with your mention of the fact that the launching of almost that delivery grocery service, it seems like a small task sometimes, but to get out there, get into the grocery store, plan out your entire list versus simply having it delivered, that convenience is very, very great. There's also options, so whether you're in Orillia or Thunder Bay, to get delivered food. So if you want to get takeout from your favorite restaurant, if you want to try a new restaurant, many food services will actually deliver right to campus, and either right to the residence building or right to the exterior, depending on who you use. And of course, we do have security protocols so that they're not going right up to your floor necessarily. You're not being let into certain buildings, but that doesn't mean that you can't take a few minute walk, maybe even 20 steps to that main entrance, where then you can grab your bag to go. So I'll pass it over to Lynn, who's going to chat about Orillia and the Orillia options, and then we will chat about residence life. I'm going to check the Q&A after Lynn talks about food plans, or meal plans, pardon me, and we're going to dive into some of those questions too.
Thanks, Jordan. So in Orillia, we have a setup that is very similar to Thunder Bay. This particular slide, I'd like to update everybody, because actually we've just very recently updated our meal plan information on the website for next year. So you'll find the most up-to-date information on the website. If the term board plan is exactly what was explained about Thunder Bay campus. So if you're a student in our residence hall in the Orillia campus in September of 2021, what you will have is your identification card, and you can go to the dining hall anytime you want during operating hours and as many times as you want, and you can get as much or as little as you want. So you can go for coffee, then you can go back for a bagel, then you can go back for lunch, then you can go back for an afternoon snack, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's an unlimited plan during their operating hours, and you don't have to worry about having cash with you or a credit card or a debit card, any of that. You just bring your identification card, that's it. And we will have something special for next year as well, which are the options of a 5-day meal plan, Monday to Friday. But if you're coming from out of the country, I do recommend the 7-day plan, which gives you unlimited access every single day of the week for the entire semester and for the entire year. But just so that you do know, we do have the options available if you just want the 5-day. That means that on Saturdays and Sundays, if you choose 5 days, you would be able to go to the dining hall, but please be prepared to have some cash with you. But we will have what we call the declining balance as well. So we can make your identification card work a little bit like a credit card. Any questions about dining plans could be addressed to myself or back to Jordan and Hector, and I'll eventually get the question, or please visit the Lakehead University Orillia website for meal plan information.
Awesome. Thanks so much for covering that. And like I should mention, for any of the information that you see, if you're watching this as a recording especially, please head over to our website for the most up-to-date information. We typically add small disclaimers on the video, because when we add them to our YouTube channel, it could be a matter of days and there could be a new update that maybe changes things. For a vast majority though, things that we've talked about today, we're not going to be renovating any of the residents. We're not going to be removing any mini fridges out of rooms, so you don't need to worry about the amenities themselves. But maybe if we talk about certain dates or deadlines or fees, please make sure you check the website for the most up-to-date information, or like Lynn mentioned, connect with us directly offline by email, and we'll be happy to address those questions. So the next section that we're going to talk about is residence life. Before we dive into that though, I have many questions that I want to get to on the topic of meal plans and the housing options. So I'll try and do a quick fire round essentially. And so for the three of you, if you want to jump in, please do so. The first one is, hello, thanks for your information. Do you have any dormitories for couples? So this is actually going to address a couple. So the simple answer is no, we don't have dormitories for couples or families. If both of you are Lakehead students, you can absolutely select a residence and both book for your individual residence, but there's not a single option, so you wouldn't be sharing a room and a room's cost. But I know that there's another question that adds on to this, and whether or not apartments and townhouses are co-op, single gendered, how does that work, Jessica?
Yeah, so they can be both. If you choose that you want to live in a single gendered environment, you just put that down on your form, and we're going to respect that. If you wanted to live with someone of a different gender, though, you absolutely can do that as well. Similar to what Jordan said, though, you can't share a room with like your direct partner. In a typical year, though, you can have guests over. So when the pandemic is done and we're not as worried about people coming in, you can definitely bring over your partner as long as you get that in your roommate agreement kind of figured out and settled between everyone.
Awesome. And I have another one. So it says, I want to join Lakehead with my spouse. What will be the cheapest rent and where? So that's a great question. It sounds like I know, given that it's your spouse, you won't be looking for separate residence options or separate living accommodations. So you'll be looking for off-campus options. What I encourage you to do is, if you head over to our website, lakeheadu.ca/international, you can navigate our website. There's plenty of resources and information about off-campus housing. We do our best to make recommendations and help you a bit through the process, but we don't facilitate it ourselves. And so that's something that we leave to you. We definitely have a lot of guidance. So with our International Student Services team, they've worked with international students for many years now, securing off-campus housing options if that's what our students choose. And so they have the best recommendations for you, whether it's protecting your investments, so making sure that you're going to rent a place that truly exists or is up to the standards that you're looking for. So you're not going to show up and be absolutely shocked of what you've essentially secured for the next 8 months. But we can certainly dive into that in another session. Another question we had, are these latest images? Yes, for the most part, these images reflect exactly what residence looks like. They may not have been taken this year, of course, with COVID. We did limit our time on campus and our interactions in person, but these photos are still relevant, and if anything, they'll only continue to get updated over the years as things evolve.
And Jordan, just to add on that, if they do want most up-to-date photos, both the Thunder Bay and Orillia campus have really active Instagrams where we're consistently posting photos of activities going on, as well as we have residence tours on both Instagrams that take you into all of our options provided. And that's just Lakehead Residence Life and Lakehead Residence Life Orillia that you can check out, and I can put those into the chat for easier access.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you for the reminder too. That kind of sparks my memory that if the viewers want it, I think that maybe now would be our opportunity to comment in the chat to let us know if you would love to see us do an Instagram live, and we can coordinate something with the teams in Thunder Bay and Orillia to do a live tour of residents and check out these options. Another question we have about apartments is, are there only 4 rooms, or are there any options 2 rooms or 3 rooms? And I think I know the answer, but I'll let the expert answer herself.
Yeah, so most of our options have 4 rooms. We do have accessible suites that have 3 rooms. However, those are reserved for people that may need kind of an adaptable environment that's a little bit more accessible due to things like wheelchairs or space needs.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jess. Alrighty, I'm just going through some more questions here. We have some about residents in the summer. So it says, what about summer? Can we stay in campus during the summer? What is the process? So like Jessica mentioned, there are options for students to extend their stay in a townhouse or apartment for what we refer to as the summer months. So it begins as of the end of April, if I'm not mistaken, or beginning of May, and goes until the end of August. You do have a separate contract for that period. If you are a first year student, so this is your first time joining a university, you've just come from high school, you will automatically be placed in residence halls. And then if you choose to stay that summer, that's where you can upgrade, or not upgrade, sorry, I shouldn't say that. You can transition into one of the other options for the summer months. And then from there on out, if you choose to stay on campus and live there for the remaining years of your studies, all the power to you. You can certainly do that on townhouses and apartments. And then if you're in our Orillia option, of course, or in our Orillia campus, you would stay in the single option they offer, which is residence halls.
Our summer residence applications are currently live, so if you are looking to apply, I'd encourage you to check out the website for more information about this, and you can actually start submitting those applications now.
Awesome. And I think that actually ties into somebody's question. It said, I'm a potential graduate student. My application is under review. I would like to know with how many days I'll have to apply for an on-campus residency after getting an offer. And so for our students who are currently in the application phase, they already maybe have an offer on the way, they've applied, they're waiting to hear back. You will most likely hear back in the coming weeks and months. This is definitely a crunch time for our admissions team. The residence deadline though for an application of fall 2021 start is going to be June 1st, if I'm not mistaken. What that means is that you'll have up until that to secure and then have priority to get onto campus. After that date, of course, if we still have availability, you can absolutely apply and we'll help you through that entire process. But up until June 1st is where we can guarantee residence for a select group of students. Just filtering through the questions, I think there's a few that we'll definitely get to. We have a dedicated question period. Just noting the time though, I definitely want to chat about residence life. And so maybe I'll pass it over to Jessica or Michelle to kick things off, and then keep in mind, Lynn, of course, you can jump in if there's any differentiations between Orillia and Thunder Bay, but for the vast majority, there are similarities between the two in the sense of the services and supports we offer.
Yeah, so Jordan, definitely speaking some truth there. It's very much a similar model across both of our campuses, and residence life is probably one of the biggest incentives, I would say, to being a part of residence when you're in your studies. It's a huge support network. They provide fun opportunities for you to engage not just in your classes, but with like your community that you're a part of. We actually do academic programming as well to support students. So it's not just, pizza parties or movies. We do those too, but we also support you with your academics through programming as well. There are two parts to our residence life team. There's our RAs, which are resident assistants, and then there's our HPs, which are house presidents. House presidents are really that fun social programming. They do residence-wide programming. They do programming in your individual house, which is essentially the floor or community that you're a part of within your either Bartley room or your residence apartment or townhouse. And they just bring everyone together to really create that cohesive community. They also are a great support. So if you just need someone to chat with, they're a great friend to have. And if you don't know anybody, you'll know them on day one, and they're going to be your first friend that you can meet.
Awesome. I think you said that beautifully. And that's a good segue into the next slide, where we just have the high level notes about the fact that RAs ensure that health and safety and happiness for everyone within their house or within their living accommodations. And then they also provide that additional programming. I won't steal Michelle's thunder, though. I know that she's passionate about talking about this too, so I'll let her sort of dive into that.
Yeah, residence life, definitely, like Jess said, is one of those perks of campus for sure. And your resident assistants work hand in hand with your house presidents to create that cohesive, inclusive, and supportive space for you to feel safe and to experience Lakehead and university, and as well as be your true authentic self. And resident assistants provide that through just being a peer support, as well as educational programming, and kind of acting as that transitional middle support, whether you need academic support or what next steps for next year support, or you're having issues within the house or the meal plan, or really maybe you're just missing home and you need someone to chat to. And they are your instant friends when you move on. In our typical year at our move-in, even this year at our move-in, you'll drive up, whether you're on Thunder Bay or Orillia campus, and your first faces you see are these residence life staff that are so excited to see you. They're so excited to meet you, and it starts really from that day one. Yeah, I love residence life, obviously being in my role, my position, and having been a part of it. And I think that definitely living on residence, they give you that support and that little extra that you won't be getting off campus.
Awesome. And I one thing I want to note here is that also, of course, residence life is an additional support service on top of so many offered at Lakehead University. And the thing is that there's almost an overwhelming number of options or support services that you can access while you're here, and that's no fault to ours. We are doing our best to support our students, but then it can be overwhelming as a new student who hasn't experienced or learned about all the opportunities. And so going to an RA and simply expressing, you have this concern, you need help with this, they might not be able to help you right then and there, but they can direct you to the right person, or they can help you seek that attention that you need, and make sure that the issue is addressed right off the bat. So speaking of time, I know that we're approaching the 10 o'clock and some of us might have to head out to other meetings. We're a busy bunch for sure. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We won't wrap up quite yet. We'll definitely dive into questions. But I just want to note, if anyone has to head out, please don't hesitate. I know we're booked until 10 today. So this photo actually represents activities that you can do. I know it's specific to our Thunder Bay campus, but it is not by no means limited to Thunder Bay campus. This represents actually skating on the heart of our campus on Lake Tamlin. So it's the lake that's right at the center of our campus. It freezes over. We have a lot of pickup hockey games or just skating. I saw Michelle on her social media recently. She took, I don't know that she took the afternoon off. I won't put words in her mouth and I won't get her in trouble with any bosses, but I saw her head out there with her skates. I definitely saw it. And then of course, there's options both in the summer and winter to stay active, whether it is skating, sledding, snowboarding, skiing, cross-country skiing, snowshoeing in the winter, or in the summer, whether you're going hiking, whether you're going swimming at one of the many local watering holes, we like to say. There's plenty of options to stay active and get involved, and those are just a few to name. If you head over to our athletics website or check out some of our recreation opportunities, there is so much to do. And also the great thing is that residence is coordinating lots of this. So it's not just you figuring it out on your own. Residence sits down and says, okay, these are new students. They're new to this city. How can we help them experience the city to its full extent? And so they plan those events. They plan those outings off campus.
Well, Ms. Jordan, it's funny you mentioned, you caught me on my social media utilizing our wonderful lake. Jess and I actually ran that as a program for our residence life staff, who then will run it as a program for their student staff or their students as well. So we definitely capitalize on our lake. Yes, so we did it during the workday, and that's part of what we love and why we do what we do, because that's part of our work. And your resident assistants and house presidents will do the exact same thing. And like Jordan said, if there's something you want to experience or want to do, you want to go hike Mount McKay, our local landmark, you want to visit the Terry Fox Monument, our residence life team can help make that happen for you. And it's just a great experience.
Awesome. And so this photo is actually from our Orillia campus during one of our orientation weeks. And so this is a really exciting time where all of the students get to come together. Of course, it was online this past year. For this upcoming year, we're hoping for a mainly in-person orientation as well as on-campus experience. So hopefully we can return to some normalcy and be back together to celebrate that first exciting week of everything Lakehead and everything new, essentially. And there are some really, truly amazing students that are campus champions that are going to help you in that experience. So they've been here for many years now, and they'll be able to guide you through that. So I know we're going to head over to questions now, and I do want to acknowledge we're just at 10 o'clock or just before. So I know, Lynn, you have to head out. So thank you again for joining us. Michelle, Jessica, if either of you have to head out or if you can hang out for a few minutes, Hector and I will certainly do our best to motor through some questions here. The first one I wanted to answer is, how could students have their meals while living in the room? So that's a great question. So for our students who are living in the Thunder Bay options, apartments and townhouses, of course you have your dedicated dining rooms or your dining table. So this is typically where we see our students eating their meals. If you're comfortable and your roommates are comfortable having food in the living room and on the couches, you can make it as casual or informal as you wish. If you're living in residence halls, both in Thunder Bay and Orillia, you can certainly bring it back to your room. You can eat in bed if you wish. You can eat at your desk if you wish. but you could also go to one of the many study lounges or social lounges to enjoy that meal, and also join in your residence team and your roommates essentially in sharing that meal. Of course, that's not to say that the residence and cafeteria, they're absolutely beautiful. The Thunder Bay has a great view and great lookout. The Orillia is bright and beautiful and modern, and both of them are great options to eating meals and enjoying those meals too. So I'm just going through some more questions here. One question is from Rami. It says, how much does a single room cost per month? So the way that our schedule of fees works is that it's not necessarily priced out on a per month basis, it's per term. And so for students who are looking to study an undergraduate program from September to April, and they're going to stay on campus, they would pay for that 8-month term. So you could essentially divide that total amount by 8 months, and you work out your monthly cost, which includes meal plans if you stay in the residence halls on Thunder Bay and Orillia, or if you're living in apartments and townhouses, it would include your living accommodations, and then you would have to factor in that food on top of that. Just going through some more here. What are the rules regarding on-campus residence? Any specific times to enter and exit if weekends we want to stay at a friend's place off campus? That's a really good question. We haven't really addressed that. There's a lot of freedom in residence. There's really not too much that we're going to say yes or no to in that sense. So if you wish to head out for the evening and stay at a friend's place, or if you even go on a short vacation while in Canada, I know many of our students will utilize some of their scheduled breaks or their Christmas holidays to head out maybe to BC and explore, or to the East Coast and explore. Absolutely, that is an opportunity. Maybe I'll pass it over to Michelle and Jessica, just chat about what are the expectations for communicating travel like that to RAs, so that we know where you are, and if we are doing any sort of our checks and you're not missing, or we haven't heard from you in a couple days.
Yeah, Jordan definitely hit the nail on the head there. We don't have necessarily structured rules on when you have to enter and exit a place. That's the nice thing. It's your home, so you get to really treat it like your home and leave and come back when you want. If you're going away for a longer period of time that is, let's say, not like a reading week break or a winter holiday break or something like that, it's really nice to let your RA or HP know that you're just going to be out of your place for a little bit of time, so that if somebody got worried or if somebody called for you, we can also make sure that we're supporting you and following up in the right way. Or we can know, oh, Johnny's out hiking Mount McKay, so we might not be able to reach him right now, but once he's back, we'll be able to get in touch. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that. Another question we have just is from a student that joined the meeting late, but they would like to know for incoming students, would they still have the option to get residence halls, because the housing application only lists apartments and townhouses? So I know, Jess, you mentioned that the summer application is currently open. Has the fall application opened as well, or is that going to be opening in the next little while?
Yeah, all of our applications should be open online. If it will depend on what type of student you are for the availability for residence. So if you are a mature student, or maybe in your second or third year, that will be why you are getting the option for apartment or a townhouse. So it also depends on how you're clicking on that application. I can put in the link though. Any questions for it, it's right on the website. You can just email our residence accounts department or residence administration, and they'd be happy to walk you through that process. One of my favorite things about Lakehead is that you're not just a number when you come here, and when you reach out via email or social media, you're going to get that one-on-one support with our professionals. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you don't see the application for you.
Awesome. Another question we had is, it was actually related to how many students will be using the washroom, and then they clarified that they're referring to residence halls. And so, Michelle, for each floor, I know you said that there's a single gender washroom, so 2 essentially on each floor. What does that essentially break down to the number of students using it?
Yeah, so each floor has about 10 students. And with those 10 students, there are 2 washrooms for one male, one female. And in each of our washrooms, we have 2 showers, 2 stalls, and 2 sinks. So if we break it down, it's about 5 students per shared washroom, and there's 2 amenities in each. So about 1 to 2 students sharing your specific utilities in that space.
For sure. And I guess I'd be curious to know myself, if a student needs to use the washroom in their residence house, but their floor is busy, can they utilize another floor at that time?
For sure. You can utilize any washroom facility in your house. And we also have communal washrooms in Bartley Hallway as well. So if you're visiting in a typical year, if you're visiting a friend, you're also welcome to use that washroom facility. So there's lots of access for you.
Awesome. So there's a few more questions I can do pretty quickly, and then I think I'll let our experts go. This will be available as a recording, so you can certainly reference it on your YouTube. It should be up in the next couple of days. We will be doing another session, just like today's, in April, as well as another one in May as the deadline to apply of June 1st approaches. So please keep that in mind. Another question that I wanted to answer is what are available for graduate students? So graduate students pursuing a master's or a doctoral level study, you'll be placed in a townhouse or apartment if you're looking to live on campus in Thunder Bay. If you are studying in Orillia, which is limited for graduate opportunities, you would be in their residence halls, of course, as their only option. With that being said, though, if you are a high school student or it's your first time entering university, you would always be placed in residence halls. Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, can high school students opt out of residence halls, or is it a mandatory participation in that?
It's not mandatory for residence halls. However, it is strongly encouraged if there is no specific reason for you not to be living. Obviously, we will be able to accommodate any of those specific needs, but residence halls programming specifically is very much geared towards that first year experience. So I would encourage any student who's coming for the first time to university to have that residence halls experience, because that's how you're going to make those connections and make those friendships that will last. And that's where some of your worries of, well, now I'm living with 29 other people and the fears and overwhelming, and that's what we anticipate for new students coming in, and your residence life team can really support you with that.
Awesome. So we have another question from Hassan. It says, how long are students expected to stay in the dorms? And so I think that this actually might be referencing maybe the quarantining, but I'll speak actually in more in general terms just because it wasn't specified. So students are not expected to stay in dorms for any number of time during the regular year. You can spend as little or as much time in your residence while you're living on campus. But the terms though, and then this is where they do clarify, they would like to know more about the whole year or the semester basis. So essentially how it works is you would book for one academic year, which in an undergraduate terminology is 8 months. So it would begin in September and go until April. And then if you wish to stay in what we reference as our summer for that April to the end of August, or really it's May to August, you would have a separate contract to then extend it on one of our apartments or townhouses. Now, Jessica, correct me if I'm wrong, if you are already entering an apartment or townhouse in September, can you sign a 12-month contract, or do you have to do 2 contracts, an 8-month and a 4-month?
Yeah, so it's still the 8-month and the 4-month contract. What I would say though is townhouses are the only option available during that summer period. So if somebody want to stay for 12 months, I would encourage them to look into a townhouse option, because there is the possibility that you then wouldn't have to move again come September. So just for your own ease and transition, looking at those townhouses if you're starting in the summer.
For sure. And on that note too, I know that there are select programs that actually run 16-month long. So they'll actually go for a year and an extra semester. And so in that case, if students are looking to live on campus for that additional 4 months, which would only be a fall semester, there are certainly options that we can work with our residence administration team so that you aren't paying for the full 8 months. We would never ask you to pay if you aren't staying there, but we do work with students on an individual basis for those situations. So just scrolling through if I can answer any last couple questions that are more on the easy side. If we didn't get to your question today, I do apologize. You can always find the recording on our YouTube in a couple days here, or if you're watching this as a recording, you can comment on that video and we'll either connect you directly with our residence team or be happy to answer it ourselves. One that I know that we didn't address, but I saw it come up quite a few times in the chat was laundry facilities. And so within each of our residence options, whether it's apartments, townhouses, residence halls, Thunder Bay or Orillia, there are shared laundry facilities for our students. And they're all conveniently located. So that's the really great thing, is that it's not going to be a hike to a laundromat. You're not going to have to drive across town to get your fresh laundry. It could be a short couple-minute walk to the facilities. And then, of course, with that being said, it's done by you, so that we don't have a laundry team where you could drop it off and do it like a dry cleaner. It is something that you have to stick to and keep up with. But they're all very, very simple to operate, and our residence team, whether it be an HP, an RA, or a fellow roommate, if it's your first time doing it, I understand that coming from high school. If you've come from a family maybe that you're fortunate enough that they were doing your laundry up until your move to Canada, we can help you in that first couple of weeks and getting things rolling. Just scrolling through the questions last time here.
And Jordan, along with that, I know I saw something about cleaning, and we talked a lot about our communal spaces and private spaces, but we didn't actually mention what you, the student, are responsible to clean and what we provide for our cleaning services. So for residence halls, all communal spaces, so those shared washrooms, your lounges, your study room, those will be cleaned by our in-house cleaning team and our housekeepers. However, your individual bedroom will be your responsibility. So we will provide a vacuum for you. We will provide a mop and a bucket, but we don't actually provide any of those cleaning products. So if you're looking for a specific spray or wipe or cleaner, that will be up to the student to purchase and bring themselves. And that's the same for apartments and townhouses too. So any of the communal hallways, communal lounges, we will provide the cleaning for you. And in your individual unit, the same amenities, so the vacuum, the mop, and the bucket are provided, but not the actual cleaning supplies.
And on that note, I know that Jessica prefaced the roommate agreement that you actually sign and go over that first week that you're living with roommates. And so living with roommates where you have a shared dining room, kitchen, living room, and you don't just have a dedicated space, you won't have a housekeeper coming in to that main floor of your townhouse or into those communal spaces. It's something that we encourage you set out right from the beginning as to what your agreement is, what your expectations are with each other, whether it's as simple as a schedule, so a rotating schedule, maybe on Fridays you have to clean the main bathroom, who knows? It's something that we absolutely encourage, because we wouldn't want to see anyone feeling like they're doing all of the work for all of their roommates, unless that was a part of the agreement. Maybe you've traded your cleaning services because your roommate's an amazing cook. I wouldn't be shocked. I would probably do that. I'd be willing to do it. I'm not a big fan of cooking myself, so I'll say it. Okay, that brings us to the end of the session. I know we went past, but I want to thank Michelle and Jessica for joining us as our experts from residence. Thank you, Hector, for helping me co-host and answering so many questions behind the scene. I want to encourage everyone to follow us on our social media channels at Lakehead International, both on Instagram and Facebook. Lakehead University is our main YouTube channel. You can find this recording on Lakehead International Lives playlist, or you can head over to Lakehead International playlist and explore Thunder Bay and Orillia and explore the international student experience more. You can also explore residence on Thunder Bay and Orillia using our virtual campus tour at lakeheadu.ca/tours. So that does bring us to the end. That is my summarization of the whole webinar. Big mouthful there, but thank you again for joining us, folks, and hopefully we'll see you at the next one, okay? Bye for now. Thank you for checking out today's video. If you have any questions, you can always comment below. Stay connected and follow us on our social media channels to stay informed about upcoming webinars and get an insider sneak peek of Lakehead University. See you next time.